I've got good news and I've got bad news for you today, folks. The bad news is that bees are dying, and they're dying at an alarming rate. If bees go extinct, we would definitely lose some of the foods that make our diets vibrant, healthy, and nutritious. The good news will come later in the presentation. Today we're going to have a conversation about bees. According to Gregory Willard, author of Bee Health, Problems for Pollinators and Protection Efforts, dated 2016, the role and the economic value of bees as pollinators are critical to our nation's economy, food security, and environmental health. My hope today is that you will join me in saving the bees. My goals today are to create awareness of the decline of bees, what bees do for us, and to show you documented evidence that the bees are actually dying and the action steps to reverse that. Bees are pollinators, and they're critical to plant pollination. Greg Willard states that without bees, farmers would have trouble producing staple foods such as fruit and vegetables, as well as cotton and other essential products that bee pollinates. Maddie Moat says in a video titled, "What Would Happen If Bees Went Extinct?" Dated 2014. As far as important species go, bees are at the top of the list. They're critical pollinators. They pollinate 70 of the 100 crop species in the world that feed 90% of the world population. And they're responsible for $30 billion a year crops. She also goes on to say, that's just the beginning. We may lose all the plants that bees pollinate, of all the animals that eat those plants, and so on and so forth, right up the food chain. And which means a world without bees could struggle to sustain a global population of 7 billion people. Our supermarkets would have half of what you see on the shelves right now. That's some scary stuff, folks. Are there other ways to pollinate? There certainly are. Human beings can do it. I could be trained to do it. You could be trained to do it. But guess what? If we get paid to do something, that cost gets put on the end product, which is the consumer. And that's you and me paying more money at the grocery store. So let's save the bees. Let's work together to save the bees and let them do what they naturally do. Greg Willard states, data and information on bees are limited, both locally and globally. Some of the concerns that the availability of the bee stocks are not keeping pace with growing agricultural demands and pollination services. Daniel Lee Kleinman tells us in Vanishing Bees, Science, Politics, and Honeybee Health, dated 2017, as the chill of the winter of 2006 began to dissipate, news emerged that a number of U.S. beekeeping operations had lost between 30 and 90% of their bee operations, where typically they only lose 15%. Francisco Sanchez-Bayo, author of Worldwide Decline of Entofauna, dated 2019, just last year, folks. In 10 years, we'll have a quarter less bees in the world. In 50 years, we'll have 50% less. And in 100 years, we'll have none. And during the winter of 2018, about 40% of the bee colonies here in the US of A perished, vanished. The die-offs are happening because they're losing their habitats to farming and urbanization, climate change, pesticides, and monoculture. All those are threats to the bees. And we need the bees, folks. We need the bees. Greg Willard goes on to say, if this continues in the year 2119, the earth may not have enough insects. If all the bees died, mankind wouldn't perish. But it would create hardship for us and could possibly mean worldwide famine. I don't know about you, but that scares me. And this has because a lot of the foods that they pollinate would just vanish. They would just disappear. The good news, folks, I told you it was coming. The good news is that you and I can come together and do something about this. This is great news. We could do things in the privacy of our own property and our own homes. We could plant bee-friendly plants to attract the bees. You could be bee-friendly. What does that mean? Quite simply, when a bee comes near you, don't swat it away and try to kill it. Just move away from it. Let him be. That was a pun. You could also get a saucer and put it outside with some water. Doesn't have to be deep, half an inch, and put some rocks. The rocks are for the bees to stop and rest, so they can drink water and they can rest. It's helping the bees. You could become a beekeeper. It's the latest fad. I know several people that are doing that right now, and they do it right in the backyards. And you could also write your legislatures. They work for us. Write them a letter. Tell them to stop. Tell them to start collecting data and come up with policies and strategies to save the bees. On a federal level, there's a tug of war going on. Greg Willard tells us that they're not speaking on a unified voice. They're not coming together. The Obama administration signed a presidential memorandum called Creating a Federal Strategy to Promote the Health of Honeybees and Other Pollinators, directing other federal agencies to take steps to protect and restore domestic populations of pollinators. It established a pollinator task force consisting of the USDA, the EPA, and 14 other agencies, all coming together, working, collecting data, doing studies to protect the bees. The task force is directed to develop a national pollinator health strategy, which includes the Pollinator Research Action Plan. Action plan, that's what we need. The action plan is to be informed by studies of health and managed bees. But Rebecca Bache, in a video titled, Critics Worry Trump Turning a Blind Eye to Honeybee Decline, dated 2019, just last year, very quietly, the Trump administration announced it was suspending its survey of bee populations, pausing data collection, and eliminating funding of government sources in tracking bees of the rapid decline. That makes me still sad. In this past June of 2019, the EPA issued an emergency declaration allowing folks to use the worst pesticide that causes paralyzation of a bee's nervous system, and they put it back on the market. I hope I painted a picture today that empowers you to take action. It sure empowered me. We've got action steps that we need you to pioneer change in your sphere of influence. Go out and talk to your neighbors, your family, your friends. They can all do something, but you've got to talk to them. And I mentioned several activities that you can do today, that you can do at home. And I want to mention citizen science. You may have heard of it, and you may not, but there's a website called SciStarter, SciStarter.org. There are tons of ways that you can get involved. It's for the citizens, the public can get involved and input research data into it. So the government isn't doing it right now for us, but you can do it and I can do it. And we can become part of the research. I took the liberty of preparing some letters for you today to all your legislatures, your senators, and Governor DeSantis. I have it already populated. The letter's already written. All you need to do is put your name and address and then sign the bottom. Reach out to me, please, in the class list. I'd be happy to send it to you. Sign it, put it in an envelope, and mail it off. It's all ready to go. There's no effort on your part needed. We can all take action today to save the bees. So in conclusion, the presentation about the bad news was the bees are dying. And my mission was to bring awareness to you about the decline of bees, what they do, and the action steps that you can take and do them in the comfort of your own home to save the bees. And it's my hope that you'll join me in taking at least one action and share it and do it. Thank you. Have a great day.